Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm English and I'm Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Alice and this is English with Alice B, where you can come to learn English in a clear and simple way without the stress. So, guys, when you talk about doing things often or when you talk about really liking something, do you find yourself always using a lot? I travel a lot. She works a lot. I like reggae a lot. Today, I'm going to teach you some new phrases to use instead of a lot so we can upgrade your vocabulary and keep using new words. Let's talk English.
So let's take a look at first how do we use a lot? And actually, there are two main uses of this. The first one, a lot, with the preposition of plus a noun means much or many of something. For example, she has a lot of, and then the noun, a lot of things to do. I drank a lot of water yesterday. So, in both examples, you can see we can use a lot of with both countable and uncountable nouns. When we don't use it with a noun or with the preposition of, we're using it as an adverb. So, this means it modifies the principal verb of the phrase. For example, I like reggae music a lot. The main verb here is to like, and I am describing how much I do this verb, how much I like reggae music. The same with the next example. He works a lot. How much does he work? How much does he do this verb? He does it a lot. For the purposes of this video, we will be looking at the first example. So, a lot of when we're speaking about nouns. Okay, let's begin.
Again, I'd like to make it clear that using a lot isn't wrong. And again, it's not a bad thing to do. It's a little vague. It sounds repetitive and it doesn't always fit formal English. So some of the phrases we're going to look at today will be more suitable for a formal environment, such as in essays, such as in work. So the first one I'd like to come to is much or many. Now, immediately, I know some students that are watching this will think, oh, but sometimes I don't know when to use much and when to use many. This is a very, very common problem. And if you just click here, I actually cover this in another video so you can understand when you should use much and when you should use many. But very briefly, we use much when we're talking about uncountable nouns, so things that you cannot count. And we use many with countable nouns, so nouns that you can count. But coming back to the lesson of today, we can use much or many instead of a lot, of course, when we're talking about things in high quantity. For example, instead of saying, I have a lot of work to do today, I could say, I have so much work to do today. Instead of saying, I've played that game a lot, we could say, I've played that game so many times. Much and many are, once you learn them, are actually very easy to use. And again, it just lets you expand your vocabulary that little bit more. Let's move on. This is actually one of my favorites because I say this a lot: loads of or tons of. So this is not really to be used in a formal situation. You wouldn't expect to see this in an exam or in a presentation at work, for example. This is quite informal. And we tend to use our voice, so we change our intonation to exaggerate this a little bit more. For example, I've got loads of work to do. Or this year, I've got loads of plans. I'm sorry, I can't come for a beer. I've got tons of work to do. There are loads of people who I want to talk to. There are tons of things I want to do in this life. Maybe you've started to notice I'm using the preposition of a lot because when we talk about the quantity of something, that is often the preposition that we use. Another one of my favorites, only because it's super dramatic and a little bit extra, is a great deal of. This one can be used both for countable and uncountable nouns. For example, I could say, oh, she's so rich, she's got a great deal of money. He's perfect for the job, he's got a great deal of experience. This one I like because, as I've said, it's a little bit extra. It's a way to be a little bit more creative. And I like to say to my students, add a little bit of spice in your language, using phrases and using words that are just a little bit more interesting. The next phrase is a classic, I would say, is something that we hear often in the English language, and that's plenty of. This is often used in a more positive way, I would say. I've got plenty of food at home. We have plenty of time. It's kind of similar to say enough, but is more than enough. It's more than we need. Relax, we've got plenty of time. So this really is, yeah, more than enough. And our final phrase, which I'm actually quite a big fan of, quite a lot. Quite a lot of. There's quite a lot of problems with this new program. I've got quite a lot of students these days. Work's busy, work's good. We've got quite a lot of customers. Now, don't be confused by this. When students see the word quite, often they think it means little or not a lot of, when in fact, in spoken English, we use this really to say that there's a lot of something. There's quite a lot of work these days. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of clients. So let's break it down into formal and informal situations. In which places would you use some of these phrases? Plenty of is a good one for formal situations, especially if you're trying to keep a positive mood. It means to have more than enough, to have an abundance of something. So you could easily hear this in a sentence like, don't worry too much about the deadline, we've got plenty of time. Or we've got plenty of candidates interested in this position. Equally, this could be used in a more social environment, in a more informal situation. We've got plenty of time before the movie starts. I've got plenty of snacks to last the whole film. A great deal of is, I think this is a really great one to use in work and informal situations. It comes out so beautifully. It sounds professional, it sounds polished. There's been a great deal of research to back this up. A great deal of students are interested in this course. I personally wouldn't use it in an informal situation. It would be very unusual for me to use a phrase like this if I was talking with my friends or with my family. In that context, I would be more likely to use plenty of, or especially if we're going right into the informal, loads of or tons of. I would reserve these only for informal situations. It's a way to be a bit dramatic, a bit extra, but it doesn't look good in professional settings, especially not in essay writing. So if you're preparing for something like IELTS, try not to use something like loads of or tons of. So that's all for today. I hope you found this useful. If you'd like to let me know in the comments below, that rhymed. If you'd like to let me know in the comments below, if you'd like to let me know which of these phrases is your favorite, which ones you plan on using, if you knew some of these already. Don't forget, I have a video on much and many. I'll leave the link right here. You can have a look at that if these words confuse you a little bit. Once again, thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me today. I hope I taught you something useful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.